Today we're going to review the different parts of a graph. And so there are different parts of a graph and they all have names, and it's very important that you learn what the correct names are, because you will find questions that will be asked about these graphs, and if you're not sure what they're asking you, then you won't know where to look. So parts of a graph. This particular graph is titled Our Favorite Sports. It has a tally chart and a number, and it has the number of students, which is kind of like a frequency. And so the parts of this particular, it's not really a graph, it's a table. We have the title, so you always need a title. This title tells us what we're going to be measuring, what we're going to be graphing eventually. Then we have the labels. This would go into our graph as hockey, soccer, basketball, and gymnastics. That is what they're measuring, the favorite sports. Then they would go around and they would survey people and write the tally marks. And then the frequency. This is the number of times that it occurred. So in a graph, we have different parts as well. Some of them are the same, like as in title. All graphs need a title. This one is newspaper subscription sales. And so we know that it's going to be measuring the sales of a newspaper. Subscription means that people have ordered it and they're getting it over and over again. Now this might be something you're not really familiar with, but on the bottom of the chart is the x-axis. That's what we call it. And I try to remember it that x is lower than y, and so it's always on the bottom. It comes before y in the alphabet. So the x-axis is on the bottom, and in this case, it is the number of subscriptions. And then the y-axis is along the side. And then we have the scale. That is the numbers. So the numbers are the scale. In this one, it happens to be going by 300s. If we look, we can see 300, it starts at 0, goes to 300, then 600, then 900, then 1200. So we know that each one in between, each of those little lines is 100. And the last thing is the label. The label is along the side, and that is the months that they're measuring. Now, this graph is a pictograph, and it has all of the same things except for one thing. It doesn't have a scale because it has pictures. And when we have a pictograph, what we want to look for is a key. And the key tells us what each one of the pictures stands for. In this case, each of these pictures stands for 6 fish. So like if Michael, we looked at Michael, he has 3 fish in his row. And so we know that for every 1 fish, it equals 6. And so we would count by 6s. 6, 12, 18. Michael caught 18 fish. So now we've reviewed the different parts of graphs and frequency charts and tally charts. And so when you make your charts, you want to make sure that you have all of the parts. When you're asked a question about a graph, you'll know what the parts are called.